Welcome to the channel. My name is Harley, and if it's your first time here, welcome. It's also my first time here, so welcome me as well. This is going to be a channel that shows you some of the stuff that I do in my life, some of the work that I do, adventures that I go on, overall life stuff in general. As we all know, if you're going to do something, you've got to start somewhere, and for me, that somewhere is here right now. So hopefully you'll enjoy the content. I'm sure that it'll be rough at first. I'm using a cell phone to do everything, video editing, all that. And hopefully as we all grow together, my content will get better, videos will get better, and the adventures will become more epic. And I hope that you are doing well wherever you are right now. And thank you for watching. This is Harley's Modern Life. And on today's video of Pimp My Buick, I picked up this lovely 2008 Lucerne from a nice couple in Alabama yesterday. Don't mind the caved in roof. I patted it. Yep, too hard apparently. But no, we'll get to that repair later. It's got some dents and stuff we'll be pulling out. But first today, we're going to take these crusty old headlights and turn them into something shiny and brand new looking. You'll need a couple things to do this. The cheapest way that I have found to do it as far as kit form goes is this Turtle Wax kit. Not sponsored. It's a Turtle Wax. Maybe it's because my first video. I don't know. You will also need some tape and some plastic to go around the outside if you want to keep your car clean. I plan on washing this thing afterwards, so it's no big deal for me. And since I've already used that kit once, I've used the clear wipe that comes with it. So what I've got is some clear coat to finish off with to add UV protection at the end. And let's get to it. So as I was saying, these headlights are very hazy and very crusty. Let me get up close. You can probably see how dirty they are. And these ants that I hired are not doing a very good job. So I guess we're going to have to do it ourselves. You get what you pay for, I guess. Paid them in peanuts. The other lens is equally as bad, and we will go ahead and get you set up where you can see and start with the procedure. Alright, so you can follow the steps on the Turtle Wax box. It says firstly to hit it with the rubbing compound and see if that clears it up. I know that this headlight is way too dirty for that to work. So next you're going to get your spray lubricant, and if it's really this bad, a trick I like to use is I've got some 1000 grit sandpaper here, which is still a little dirty from the last time I used it. And that will knock down most of that oxidation before you get to the little pad system that they have in there. It's a color-coded pad system. It works really well. But what you want to do is get everything all nice and sprayed. And then you're done. See, look, it's crystal clear. Just kidding. That's not how this works. Then you'll just go back and forth with your sandpaper. And you want to do it one direction at a time, being careful not to rub your sandpaper on your paint. See, I've got my pinky down there to keep it off of it. And you'll go back and forth around the entire headlight for a couple good minutes until you think you've got all of it handled. And then we'll go ahead and do that here. And once you've got your main oxidation off, you'll move up to your next step, and then you'll be going up and down on your next step to help cross scratch and eliminate the scratches that you've made go in this direction. And I'll probably be a lot in the way for this process because I need to be all over the lens that you're looking at. Yeah, look at all that crud coming off of there. We'll go ahead and get a little bit more spray on there. The key to doing this is keep the light wet. That will help you out a lot. If it starts getting dry, it starts clumping up, and then you're just rolling around dirt instead of removing the dirt and getting to new plastic. Insert epic music montage. Just kidding. I don't think I know how to do that yet. We'll find out in post. Now it's starting to feel a lot smoother under my hand, so we're just about done with this first step. There we go. I think that's good. Okay, before your next step, you're going to want to take a rag. Doesn't really matter if it's clean or not. And wipe off all that grit that you just left on there from the first step, because you don't want that grit contaminating your next step, because then you're still just using the same 1000 grit to rub with. Then you're going to take out your light green pad, I believe it is. Yes, you're going to bring out your green pad. And the green pad right here, it has the number 1 on it. That's going to be your first step for number 1. Make sure that you are properly re-lubricated. And after you get this kit, if you run out of this spray lubricant, you can just put a little bit of soap and a little bit of water back in that bottle and do that same thing. Chris Fix likes to call it soapy water because he's from Jersey. That's not how I pronounce it down here because I am from the South. Then you'll go up and down, up and down. These pads are a little small, but they get the job done. You could also just do all this with different levels of sandpaper, but buying all those different levels of sandpaper is going to cost you more money than just getting this kit, and you can continue to use these pads for quite a number of vehicles. Just keep on going the opposite direction that you went last time, and you'll notice it starting to take off a little bit and color up and get a little milky from the plastic you're taking off. You can see it there on the bumper, which is good because that's more oxidized plastic you want to keep on polishing off. And you'll feel it getting smoother and smoother as you go. And we'll just, that's getting a little dry, we'll just go ahead and lube her right back up. My girlfriend has decided to make a semi-silent appearance in my first YouTube video by not putting her phone on silent. Nice text tone there, babe. Alright. Do this for another couple minutes. And for this first one, I will not cut any of this out. That way you can see the real time of how long this actually takes me to get done. And it is feeling smoother, so we're getting close to done with this second step. And if you didn't have as much oxidation as I did, you can skip the sandpaper step and just start right with their system. And in real life, you should be able to see if your scratches from this way are still there anymore. And once you can't see any of those, you know you've got everything covered, and you can move on to the next step because you've already eliminated the first level of scratching. And I think we're about there. Oops, spray it the correct direction, that might help. Alright, you're going to want to take a different part of that rag. Don't use that same part you dirtied up the first time. Go ahead and wipe all that off. Yeah, my first directional scratches appear to be gone, so we are now ready for the next step, which is this gray with a number 2 on it. I don't know if you can see that because I can't see the screen very well. So, all sprayed down again. I'm taking that number 2 with the gray. Now I'll go back the first way we went. Same thing, we're trying to eliminate the cross scratches or the up and down scratches from the number 1 pad. And that's a good technique for sanding pretty much anything. But on something this clear where you can definitely see, it's very helpful. Or if you're doing it on like metal, you'll see knife maker guys, they'll do the same thing. They'll go one way with one grit, move up a grit, and then go the other way because they can clearly see the lines that they've made, and then they know that they've gotten all the lines, so they know they've eliminated that lower grit from the polish. And sometimes I whistle while I twerk, but I don't want to get copyright struck. This is a little bit like brushing your teeth. If your booty's not wiggling, you're probably not doing it right. Yeah, that's coming just hang out there and we will get her back nice and moist. This will take a bit of elbow grease, but you don't have to push down too hard. It's just a good bit of scrubbing back and forth, back and forth. Make sure we get that corner real good. I hope everybody appreciates the leaf blower in the background. Oh, and now a lawnmower even closer. Well, it is summertime. The grass be growing. All right, I think we're getting right where we want to be on that one. It's feeling pretty smooth under the hand. I think all those vertical scratches are about gone. We get the edges real good. Right in the corners are a little easy to miss. They're not quite as important because your light's not really coming through right here, but it's good to be thorough. Let her down again. And now take a new section of your rag. You don't want that higher grit or that lower grit in there. That off. Now we will move on to the number 3, which is a teal colored pad, if you want to call it that. I don't know color names very well. I'm sure there's a more accurate description. Artistes, let me know what you think that's called. Get some sunlight on it. Now we're on to the number 3, and we will go up and down again. Feeling real smooth. So now we're getting into the real fine grits. And the material that it's putting off is very milky, because it's a very small particle size that is being removed, and all the oxidation's already gone, so there's not going to be any yellowish color to this because we've already removed all of that. Now this corner is easy for me, luckily, because there's a big dent right here, so the metal's pulled back. If your metal or your bumper is really close to your light, it is best to go ahead and tape it up. That way you don't accidentally overrun and scratch your paint. A little bit more lube on there. This is a bit of a surreal experience for me because I'm just sitting here talking to a camera, and I haven't done that since like 8th grade projects. It was many a year ago. The name of my channel didn't date me back to being a kid when Rocko's Modern Life was on TV. Yes, it was the 90s. Getting to be just about done with this step as well, and I'm sure you can already see how much clearer these lights are, but we're not done yet. that's going to be good for number 3. Also, between these, I like to go ahead and give that a little rinse off just to get rid of the extra grit. We're going to be headed to number 4 next. Alright, umpteenth verse, same as the first. Wet it all down, fresh section of towel. Luckily these guys fold a lot, so I've been using the same towel, just a new section every time. Yeah. Man, it's already looking a lot better, and we are still not finished. That just means it's going to get even better than this. Spray, spray, spray. This is definitely not a time to pepper, pepper, pepper. This is not you suck at cooking. Oh yeah, very fine grit. She's a gliding now. And this now we're starting to get almost to the polish stage. Still removing just a little bit, but right now all we're really doing is removing or flattening out the scratches from the number 3 pad. And we got to get those all nice and flat. And it's just taking off the tops of those grooves. After this, I believe, then we can use that rubbing compound that comes in the box. If I remember the steps correctly. I'm not reading the instructions right now because I'm busy working. I don't know if you can see, but I'm getting a little bit of haze coming off of this thing where it's just knocking down that plastic. Go away, mosquitoes. We don't like your kind around here.
You have mosquitoes, I have flies.
I'm not sure what that says about your hygiene, Dave, and I'm not sure you want that in the video. But it's going in. Alright, we're getting a little bit dry. Spritz, spritz, spritz. I may not even need a music soundtrack. You got that sweet, sweet lawnmower in the background, really filling up all the dead air. Thanks, neighbor man. I hope your yard looks immaculate after this. Okie dokie doke. We're getting pretty close to done on step number 4 here. It's starting to feel real smooth under the hand. And in case I hadn't said, that's a good way to tell. Like you heard how loud the sandpaper was at first, and it was much quieter by the end of it. You can feel resistance when you're going, and then after you go and you go and you go, everything's polished to the same level of the paper you're using, so the resistance gets less and less. And give everything one more pass, and I think we'll be good on number 4. Corner real good. I think we're good on number 4. Clean off my pad a little bit. Spritz this. Wipe it down one more time with yet another clean section of towel. There we go. Step number 4 done. Alright, so after step number 4, take yourself yet another towel. This one's different. That's the dirty one up there. Nice clean towel, dry everything up real good. And you may be able to see that it's now a little hazier than it was when the moisture was on there. That was filling in the tiny little micro scratches we still have left from number 4. But the haze is good. That means that we've gotten a good buff all over the whole surface. So at this point, you'll take your clean dry towel, and I want to use the other side of this microfiber, and you apply what Turtle Wax calls their lens clarifying compound. That stuff is what they wanted you to put on in the first place, but basically it has to be about this good if this is going to do the trick and get it perfectly polished. So shake that up in case there's any goop, you know, like ketchup and mustard gets sometimes. And what they want you to do is put some on there and then use this to buff this whole thing. What I like to do is just kind of wipe it around, spread it out a little bit, get you a little bit of a layer going everywhere. And that way you're not just pushing a big puddle around when you start buffing. And then you'll take your clean and dry towel, and I like to do circles. That helps to counteract scratches in both directions. Since we're no longer keeping track of making sure we've eliminated the last scratches in 90-degree increments from each other. And you just buff this whole guy. You can do circles either direction you feel comfortable with. If you're a lefty or a righty, wax on, wax off, whatever you want to do. And you just buff this guy, buff this guy. Do this for a couple of minutes, I'd say. I forgot to read that part of the instructions. What you're doing here is cutting down the tops of those last scratches you made with number 4, which are very fine. It says you can apply this with a machine, so a buffer, polishing wheel, something like that, at up to 1500 RPM, which I don't think I'm at any risk of going that fast right now. Run it all in there everywhere. This part is where you start to get a little bit. Once it starts to get a little dry, it gets a little tacky. And I think I will actually do just a little more. That's plenty. I think I'll do a little more for lubrication and just to make sure I really get a good buff on all this. You may not need to do the second application, but for safe measure, I mean, we just put in this work. Might as well go ahead and buff it a little extra long. Guarantees a really good finish at the end. And you know, it would stink to do all this and not have it as clear as you want it to be. So that extra minute I think goes a long way. That's pretty good there. One more little go around here. I got a little bit extra on my rag still. May as well use it. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Alright, that has dried up to a haze. Now all we got to do is buff that right on off of there. Get a better handle on my towel here. She is looking pretty clear. But we still have, well, if you've still got the original components in the kit, you've got 2 more steps to go at this point. So step 1, they've got a base coat wipe that you would wipe across here, and they've got plastic gloves in the kit when you buy it new. And I would highly recommend using the gloves. You don't want any of the little white stuff on your hands. So you'd hit it with the base coat wipe, you'd let that dry, and then you'd hit it with the clear coat wipe, which is a UV protectant. But I mean, look how good that looks already. I can see in the lens there. So since we've already used that kit on the last car that I did, what you can use is just a can of clear coat. And this is why I said you'll need the tape. And in this case, I'm using some Duplicolor clear coat. It's got some UV protection, so it'll be good enough, and that'll last a good long while. And go out and get yourself a copy of the Murfreesboro Pulse. And what we're going to do is line all this with tape and newspaper just to keep the clear coat from getting any overspray anywhere we don't want it. And I'll go ahead and come back when I've got that done. And thanks to the power of movie magic, Vanna White, jazz hands, we now have this all taped up to protect the paint from the overspray that we're going to get, which wouldn't matter too much on this car because I'm going to be polishing the paint after this anyway, but just to minimize the work I'm going to have to do. I have since shaken per instructions and didn't make you watch all of that because that's, you know, just rattling and shaking, not much rolling. So now we pop this off with our weak man hands. Yeah. Yeah. Nope, maybe we don't. There we go. Got it. So we'll do a little extra shake. And all you do now is follow the instructions as it says. 6 to 8 inches away. Light coatings. And we hit her with the clear. Wait, let's make sure she sprays first. There we go. It's always good to let off at the end of each stroke with your clear coat, so you're not winding up with heavy lines at the end of each stroke where you didn't let off and you turned around. So I have to move in front of you. Alright, that is a medium coat, and we will let that tack for just a second. You don't want to hit it with too heavy of a coat all at one time, or else you'll probably catch some runs. So we'll let that dry up for, oh, it says a certain amount of time. We're just going to wing it. I have spray painted a bunch of stuff and probably have a good feeling for it, but these little directions right here, these are key. You should follow those if you can. So I can now see that clear coat starting to blend into itself, starting to smooth out. So that medium coat is starting to come together, all the little droplets we put on there, creating a smoother film. And we'll let that go for, oh, I don't know, maybe 30 more seconds or so. Always good just to give her a little shake in the middle, just, you know, for fun. It's like clicking the tongs twice. You just got to do it. Ah, yes. Welcome to the South, where our cicadas are very lovely. They don't even eat. They come out of the ground, they hump, they die. That's it. That's it. Oh, apparently he found one. All right. Let's go ahead and hit this with another light to medium layer. For the front, I can be on this side because I can see what I'm doing, but for this side, I've got to come over here and get to the light where I can see the reflection of what I'm putting down. Right now, I can see all those little droplets built up that I just sprayed in. Now, I won't tell you, you can't go too heavy on this because you can, but that's mostly all at once. And right now I can see all those little droplets, and they need to mellow themselves out back into the surface. That's another medium coat because I can see it's textured. Don't get nervous on that second medium coat because it looked like garbage when I first laid it down. It looked like, oh my goodness, I've messed up. It's never going to be clear again. It's all bumpily. But it's all still liquid. It's going to run into itself. Alright, those guys are settling down pretty good. I just double checked the directions because it's been a while since I've read a can. And it said 2 medium light coats followed by 1 medium wet coat. So, see, I didn't even really need to check in the first place. Who needs directions? It says men all over the place who screw stuff up. Alright, little shake. and then we'll give her. Now, I know I'm a little bit closer than the recommended 6 to 8 inches away. I think it says 8 to 10 actually. I can't measure that far anyway. But it's okay for me to be a little closer right now because of the speed at which I'm moving the can. I've learned a lot about painting. I've got a actual proper spray gun like painters use in shops that I've used a handful of times, and it's all about your speed and your flow. That has a lot to do with the distance. So if you're doing a nice slow coat like that, you want to be far enough away. If you're coming across really fast and aggressive like I was, you can be a little bit closer because it's going to atomize and stick, but you're not going to build up too much in one spot. And I don't know if you can see, but again, it looks like, oh my goodness, I've ruined it. It's all white bumpy spots everywhere. It'll never be good. But that'll mellow out. It'll sink into the clear coats, or to the 2 coats we put before it, and it'll be perfectly clear. And worst case scenario, should it not be perfectly clear, you can use that compound to buff it back out again, and then it will be. And if if the compound, you're not satisfied with that, clear coat it again. I mean, in a real worst case scenario, if you super screwed it up, you can start from the beginning and sand all this clear coat off and do the whole process over again. Time consuming, but if you're going to be a stickler and if it's going to bother you, you can do it, no problem. So that should dry. It says for an hour and 10 minutes between this and the next coat, but I don't think we'll even need a next coat after this. And that should be it. So may have to wait till tomorrow to get you a good shot of how this looks, because I don't think this is going to be dry and clear enough this evening with us losing the light. But we'll sit here for a few more minutes and not make you wait through that. I'll go ahead and skip ahead. And if that dries up and clears up enough to where you can get a good image before we completely lose the light, then I'll show you that. All right, now our clear coat is almost done drying. It's still a little bit milky in a couple of places, but we're losing the light, so I just wanted to give you this really because I'm nervous about my first video, and I want to go ahead and wrap this up tonight. That way I can edit it and post it and be done, and then the first one's done and we're on to the next thing. I'll go ahead and I haven't done the other light, so I'll get that done as well probably tomorrow, and then I'll show you in a future video what the lights look like in a broad daylight so you can see those. But that's a pretty good example. We went from super crusty to looking like this. And so for the same lighting conditions, this is what we started with. And this is what we currently have. Not teabag, if you ask me. Alrighty, we are back in the house. That project is complete. Well, half complete. Still got to do the other side tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and see about editing now, which should be an adventure because I've never done this before. It's going to be good. I'd like to give a shout out and a thank you to Papa Rock, the guy who I actually bought the car from in North Alabama. Seems like a pretty cool guy, and encouraged me to stop procrastinating and make my first YouTube video. So here it is. It's probably going to be a little bit lengthy because I did the real-time repair so you could see it. In the future, I'll be doing a little bit more cuts so you don't have to watch every single second of what's going on. But this was a easy, simple little repair, so I figured you'd want to see how long it actually takes to do. That way you wouldn't be discouraged to try it for yourself. Super easy and very effective, and you'll get to see, I mean, you saw the difference a second ago, but you'll get to see the main difference on probably the next video of how much better that makes the front end of a car look. I mean, it makes it look 10 years newer than what it is. So thanks again, you guys. I appreciate it, and thanks for watching Harley's Modern Life.